Hey shotgun enthusiasts, RW here. I recently started casting my own Lee Slugs, and I had this assumption that they were going to be super accurate compared to what I used to shoot a lot, which is wax slugs. If you know anything about wax slugs, all it is you open up a shot shell, you dump the shot out, you mix it with wax, put it back in, let it solidify, and now you've got something between like a slug and a breaching round. Not real accurate. But really lays a real smackdown on stuff. You'd be surprised what these, they'll blow up a cinder block, they'll punch holes through cast iron. They're pretty serious. I love shooting slugs. I've shot hundreds and hundreds of deer slugs. I love shooting slugs. Factory slugs like the Remington Slugger, they're awesome. Okay. Now I have watched quite a few videos on YouTube about other loaders and all the tips and tricks about trying to get a super accurate Lee slug, and even guys that spend a great deal of time researching the methods and testing out wads and loads and reloading them with real loading machines and everything. They're saying, you know, maybe a 5-inch group at 50 yards, which to me sounds like, wow, that's a pretty big group, you know. So I decided to conduct my own tests. I did them just a little while ago. I did 2 sets of tests. I made 2 target boards. I loaded up 7 of the Lee slugs. I put an overshot card and then I filled it with wax. And then I went out there and shot that thing 7 times from 30 yards, resting the shotgun on top of my little short ladder. So, you know, took kind of the wiggle out of it. And then I did the exact same thing with the wax slugs. And then I repeated the test just to see if there was going to be any real variation. And really there wasn't. There were some flyers, there was a couple on target, and there were some that were close to the target. So they were pretty much, you know, good comparable tests, I felt, for rapid tests. I mean, you'd probably have to shoot 1,000 rounds to really get a good feel for it. But I want to show you the results. And before I tell you which target's which, I always want you to look at them and see if you see a really huge difference in the spread. Now, you may see that triangular series of flyers, and they may make you think, oh wow, look at the size of that group, that's huge, that's ridiculous. And, oh, that's a lot tighter. Well, think about this now. I shot an earlier group that was pretty much, both of them were like that. And how I'm measuring this, I know this may not be the official way to do it, but I'm kind of looking at, this is what I wanted to hit, right? This is where I've got my 9X deer scope, okay? I've got a smooth bore barrel, 18 inches long, it's just chopped off. There's no choke, nothing, no improved zone, nothing. Okay, so you can see that these are all the same distance from the center. So in my opinion, even though you could measure from here to here and there and say, oh wow, that's 9 inches or whatever, I see it more like I was aiming for there and they went there. So let's come over here. I was aiming for there and I got here. So in my line of thinking, that's the same distance off as this is. And just because 3 of them ended up there doesn't mean that every time I shoot that 3 of them are going to end up there, because in the earlier test they were all over the place. So now I got 1 right on target. And I got 1 pretty much right on target. Okay, it's pretty close. Then I got 3 that are very close to the target, so close you could cover them with your hand, cover them with 4 fingers. And with this, these are actually a little further spread out. I can't cover them with 4 fingers. If I cover this one, you can see those. See, you can still see it. Okay. But with this, I can almost cover that with 3 fingers, so it's definitely being covered with 4 fingers. So in my mind, 4 of them in a relatively tight group, and 4 of them in a somewhat looser group. With these, I'm actually punching holes inside of holes about an inch away. Here, I got 1 here, got 1 there, got 1 there, I got 1 there. Inch away, 2 or 3 inches away. So in some ways, this could be considered a looser group than this. Okay. Well, let's cut to the chase. I shot slugs at this one. I shot wax slugs at that one at the same distance, same gun, Same everything. I mean, in terms of an effective round, is this really that much more effective? I wonder. I gotta wonder. Is it really that much more effective? Now, add into it that all you need to make a round like this, it's bound shot, you're using a binder. Hot glue is an excellent binder. You can go to any dollar store and you can pick up a hot glue gun for like a couple bucks. And you can make rounds just like this with nothing but a pocket knife and a hot glue gun for a couple bucks. Hey, you want to make rounds like this? You gotta have a propane stove. You gotta have propane. You gotta have good ventilation. You gotta be somewhere where, you know, you're not gonna be putting lead fumes all into your pets and your wife and kids and potentially splattering lead all over your cooking stove and contaminating your whole area with lead. You got to have some kind of heavy cast iron pot to melt the lead in. You got to be able to flux the lead and pull the dross off and dispose of it. You got to deal with the toxic fumes. You got to have a ladle. You got to have a mold. You got to have protective gear on because the shit's 700 to 800 degrees. Wax is about, you know, 200 degrees. 175 degrees. Big difference. You could just about stick your finger right in some hot wax. You stick your finger in some hot lead, boy, you're going to be pulling out a bone. Okay? So, just something to think about, guys. I was really surprised. I invested in all this equipment to make these because I had this idea that they'd be inherently much more accurate. And there I am shooting at 30 yards. I'm not really seeing that increase in accuracy as expecting. So wax slugs aren't really that bad. And that's what this video is really there to say. If you're making wax slugs, keep on making them, man. They aren't bad at all. What I would suggest is the better wax, like if you use beeswax mixed with your paraffin, or if you use microcrystalline wax mixed with your paraffin, it's going to make the shot hold together better. It's not going to spray apart as easily. And if you're into reloading and you already have a reloading station and you already have a lead casting pot and all that, it's no big deal to buy another mold. So go ahead, buy a $20 Lee mold and have some fun. But if you only got enough money to buy ammo, you can buy a hot glue gun and some ammo and you can make some pretty serious rounds out of it. Alright guys, thanks for watching while I shoot the shit about my shotgun. And I hope y'all shoot safely and have a good time. Wax slugs are awesome. And Lee slugs are awesome. But I don't see much difference between the two of them in terms of inherent accuracy at 30 yards. And I did a couple tests with them, so it's not that I just shot this one set. I've shot actually 3 sets, but I shot 2 sets back to back, and then I shot 1 set earlier. So I was a little impressed to see how good these wax slugs really are. And I was kind of dismayed to see how inaccurate the Lee slugs are. Wake up.